Hey, what's going on, guys? Seth Spartan here, nutrition training and hormone expert and Prometheus Pro bodybuilder with IFBB Pro Matt Fry. So we are back, guys, talking about why the 90s bodybuilding era and physiques, in our opinion, were better and much better than they are today. Matt, go ahead, take this away.
Well, we touched on in one of our last videos, just more focus on social media and not enough on actual training. That's what it comes down to. I mean, it seems like from what I've seen in the past, the guys they trained a little bit harder and more intense, and they were focused more on that than all this stuff going on now with social media and all the drugs, of course.
Yeah. So in terms of 90s physiques, we can compare the top bodybuilders from 2015 forward to the top bodybuilders of the 90s era. You notice that physiques, although they might be a little bit smaller, they have a lot more definition, usually better symmetry, and the overall conditioning is much, much better. And there's none of this, but with the exception of a few guys, there's none of the distension either in the mid rate, gut distension either.
Yeah, just the overall quality of the physiques seemed a lot better. Everything was just tighter, this tiny waist, big arms, big legs.
Yeah.
Everything was it looked like it was carved out of stone.
Yeah, and honestly, in the 90s, I don't like some of the stuff that went on because honestly, Kevin Levrone, Flex Wheeler, they should have won at least, I think, one Olympia. I mean, Kevin Levrone in his prime, unbelievable. Flex Wheeler in his prime, unbelievable.
And that's the thing. I mean, you had a handful of guys. I mean, you probably had close to 10 guys back in the 90s that all of them could have been Mr. Olympia on any given day.
Yeah.
Where now it's just like you can pick them apart.
Yeah. There's very few guys that are at the peak. And again, during the 90s era, everybody was coming in, full, dense, and in shape. Now, even in the pro leagues, you see people coming in, and I don't always think it's they didn't get lean enough. The thing is that they're taking all this insulin right before to carb up. They take too much, they spill over, and you have the water retention issues. So me and Matt were saying in another video, less is more. Less is more, not only better and safer, but, just putting more of a focus on nutrition, training, and away from the drugs, which I think this era has kind of slipped into, the more is better approach. We have a lot better physiques, so.
Yeah, I think a lot of it, even when you see guys today, when they're 2 to 3 weeks out, they actually look better, further out from the show than they do on show day because they're doing exactly what you said. They're pumping themselves full of insulin and just trying to carb up, and they're overdoing it. Yeah,
and you shouldn't look better 2 weeks out. You should look better, at the show. But if you're in, like I said, it's not these guys aren't in shape. The night before, their coach is telling them, okay, eat all these carbs, take all this insulin, try to, and then, 30% of the time it works and 70% of the time it doesn't. So it's too much of a shift away, keep things simpler. But that's why in our opinion, the 90s is better physiques, better quality and quantity. Like Matt was saying, there was a lot of guys at the top, not just Flex Wheeler and Ravoni, Kevin, and it was just a better area in general. And I personally can't stand, the having a good physique and then the waist is distended. It throws the whole physique off. It's completely, undermines the sport of bodybuilding in a sense, and that's another reason why open is kind of, I don't want to use the term disgusting or terrible, because there's many good open bodybuilders. What was it? Cedric McMillan was really, really good for a long time. He looked amazing. But, a lot of these guys, they're having that distension, and you can't, there's no beauty to the physiques anymore. I don't mean to pull on Arnold here, but that's kind of, you're getting away from the roots.
Yeah,
so,
they're just trying to get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
You look at Ronnie Coleman in his first couple of years, he could have just stayed with that physique.
And won too. So
same with Phil Heath. Those guys look better in the first 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You start to push it, try and get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, and everybody has a cutoff too.
We've all seen that in this industry that hasn't worked out very well.
No. All right, guys. Well, that's pretty much it. Why the 90s was better era for bodybuilding and better bodybuilders in general. Guys, Seth Spartan, Matt Fry, and we are out of here.